welcome to this YouTube video that is all about Yoga Sutra 1.1. And we're really going to talk about the sutra, but in a real life context. So I am obsessed with divine wisdom. I am obsessed with ancient teachings, particularly of Stoicism and of yoga. And today I want to talk about the Yoga Sutras, particularly Yoga Sutra 1.1, the very beginning of the book. It's the very first sutra. And what the Yoga Sutras is, it's basically a compilation of all of these different threads, and the word sutra actually means thread in Sanskrit. So it's all these different threads which essentially weave together to bring us to the highest awakening of yoga, the highest point of yoga, the best version of ourselves, our true soul purpose. And the Yoga Sutras is like, if you've done any yoga, you will know that it is so pivotal in yoga. It is about 2,000 years old, more than that now probably. And really the core of yoga stems from the teachings in this book. But sometimes when we're reading these ancient books, we're not really sure how to work it into our own lives. And I truly believe that this ancient wisdom holds so many answers for our problems today. It's not just about back then. You can think life was so different back then. What can I take from ancient wisdom? And the answer is so much. So we'll begin Yoga Sutra 1.1. In Sanskrit, it is in Sanskrit, it is Atha Yoga Anushasanam, which essentially means, if we break it down, if we look at the word Atha, this means now. This means this present moment. And truly, this is all that we have. Atha. The very first word of the Yoga Sutras. Atha. Here, now. Then we have yoga. We know what yoga means. It means union, essentially. Coming together, connection. Yoke can also be translated as yoking. And then anu is yourself. It's your soul. Shasanam is discipline, exposition. So if we put all of this together, it essentially means the time for the discipline of yoga is now. Not yesterday, not tomorrow, not next month. Yoga begins right here, right now, in this moment, which is a beautiful thing because it doesn't matter what point you are in your life. It doesn't matter what your fitness levels are. It doesn't matter what your health is like. It doesn't matter what your relationships are like. You make a decision in this very moment, right now, right here. Yoga begins now. And you can make this choice in every single moment. So really, this first Yoga Sutra is all about action. It's about practice and action. And something that I tend to do, which you may feel familiar with, is intellectualizing everything. So sometimes when I have something to do, an action that I know will advance me in life, that I know will help me grow, I try to intellectualize my way out of doing it, which is really annoying. I try to tell myself, let's say I'm going to do a yoga asana practice, the physical practice of yoga. Postures and that. I'm going to do the yoga, but I feel a bit lazy. So I intellectualize my way out of it by saying, I only had food a couple of hours ago, so, I might be too full to do yoga. Or I actually didn't sleep that well last night, so maybe the practice won't be that beneficial. And I do this all the time, and I try to make up reasons as to why I shouldn't do the practice, or whatever the other thing is. Whatever the other thing is that I want to avoid doing. And this essentially is us utilizing energy that we could be utilizing in the practice that's going to benefit us. So our thoughts are energy. And sometimes it doesn't feel like that because it feels that they're in our mind, that they're not real, they're not tangible. But yoga is all about seeing all of the layers. So it's not just the physical things, it's not the physical matter that we can touch. It is the mind is also energy moving from the astral body within us. This energy is just as equal to the physical energy that we can hold and we can touch. Okay? So think about it. If we are procrastinating, if we are making up reasons why we shouldn't do a specific action, and the action in this context, we're talking about something that relates to yoga. And yoga is a lifestyle. Yoga isn't just the postures, it isn't just what you eat, it's the whole encompassing lifestyle. So every action you take can be on the path to a yogic lifestyle, okay? And that may just be literally doing work that you need to do for your job. That's part of yoga. It's taking action. It's practicing whatever you need to grow as a human, okay? So if we are using the energy on the thoughts that is making us procrastinate, then we do not have as much energy to use in the actual thing. So we're literally trading this. We're trading our thoughts that we have at the moment. We're trading the energy for that we're trading it in instead of trading in energy for doing something that is going to help us grow, such as doing a yoga asana practice. It's a really good example, an actual yoga asana physical practice, something that we avoid, something that's linked to yoga. And the reason why it's a good example is because we all know how good that is for us. I mean, I would say it's extremely unlikely that you'll ever leave a yoga practice, a physical yoga practice, and think that was useless or that was a waste of time. It's very, very rare that that's going to happen. It's always going to have some benefit in your body. So that's the very first thing that we need to get a handle on before we start taking action, is trying not to intellectualize the action. Getting out of the head and just getting into the physical. Getting into the body if the action requires a lot of body movement. And when we're in this intellectual state, we are kind of disconnected from the body. We're very much in the head, we're very much in the mind, and we're disconnected from the body. And the more disconnected we are from the body, and the more disconnected we are from our environment, the more this leads to some kind of confusion as well. So instead of just doing the action, we go into the mind, we intellectualize it, and then we don't do the thing. We feel bad about it. We've expended energy in the wrong place. And then we're confused because we feel more stuck than before and we don't know how to move forward. And the action sort of gets bigger and bigger. It feels more voluminous than it did before. And this is a really good link to the second part I want to talk about, which as intellectualizers, as we intellectualize our actions and try to talk ourselves out of things, we become observers of our reality. If we are not committed to yoga, let's say it in terms of yoga, if we're not committed to yoga, if we're not committed to our goals, we're just observers of what's going on around us. And we do this a lot nowadays because we're on social media. Social media is a good example because on social media we're consuming. When we're swiping through social media or when we're watching TV or whatever it is, we are consuming rather than creating. So if you're watching, even if you're reading a book, which is obviously very beneficial, even reading a book, you're still consuming. And in this first Yoga Sutra, Atta Yoga Anushasanam, what it really is trying to get to the core of is that practice and action is the way forward. It's not just philosophy. And I hear a lot of people talking nowadays about how yoga is not just about the asana. Yoga is not just about the asana. And I see a lot of yogis, a lot of people who practice yoga, insulting other people practicing yoga or telling them that they're doing it wrong or that yoga isn't just the asana. And what we really need to remember is that our yoga practice is only our yoga practice, okay? Anyone else's yoga practice, that's their path, that's their journey. And we would have no idea how to live their yoga journey. And maybe right now, their yoga path is solely physical. It's solely the asanas. I know for me, that's how I got into yoga. For me, when I started practicing yoga, it was nothing spiritual. It was nothing philosophical. It was simply the postures, and I loved it. And maybe I loved it so much because it was infused with philosophy without me even realizing, but it started with the asanas. Now, if someone would have told me that I need to look at the philosophical side more, I would have maybe not gone back to yoga class. So we need to be really clear here. We're focusing on our own journey, our own path. The discipline of yoga is now. Our discipline, it's self-discipline. Anu Shasanam. Anu is the self-discipline. It's not discipline of someone else. It's not telling someone else what to do, because that's not creating either. It's not consuming either. It's not really anything. And I want you to think about how you are consuming other people, maybe in the field of yoga or maybe something else. How you're consuming how other people are doing yoga in whatever way they're doing yoga. And how much are you creating? How much of your yoga experience is learning about yoga, and how much of your yoga experience is actually experiencing it? Doing the postures, eating the right foods, maybe. Sharing the wisdom. And sharing the wisdom is also a form of creating, because you're taking it in, maybe reading the Yoga Sutras. You read it, you take it in, you digest it, you assimilate it into your body, and then you share it. So you're creating it, you're putting it back into the universe. Okay? And these things, when we are creating, what we need to remember is that each time we create something, okay, in yoga, or again in anything, but each time we create something, that's just one rep. Now, if you were to go to the gym and you were to lift a kettlebell and do a squat with the kettlebell, and then you set the kettlebell down and you leave the gym, it feels a bit pointless, right? To just do one repetition of an exercise. It feels a bit pointless. Did you really get anything from that? Probably not. So let's say you go back the next time and you do 5 reps and you leave the gym. Did you really get anything from it? Maybe a little, but nothing noticeable. But let's say you go back the next time and you do 5 sets of 10. Then you start to feel it in your body. Maybe the next day you have some little nice aches that make you realize that you've strengthened your muscles. But if you never go back to the gym after that one time that you do the 5 sets, again, it's kind of for nothing. The bigger picture, it doesn't really accumulate anything. So you have to be going to the gym maybe 2-3 times a week at least to really notice any difference. You have to put the reps in to build a bigger picture, to build a bigger muscle. And it's the same with yoga. And it's the same with every aspect of yoga, because yoga is a whole lifestyle. If you want to get better at the postures that you're doing, you need to put the reps in. If you want to get a clearer mind through meditation, you have to put the reps in. So it really comes down to practice. You may never reach perfection. They say practice makes perfect. But is there any such thing as perfect? I don't think so. But practice makes you stronger. Practice pushes you towards growth. So coming back to the main focus of this first Yoga Sutra, Atha Yoga Anushasanam. The time for discipline of yoga is now. It starts in this very moment. what can you do in this moment? How can you expend your energy for something that is going to reach you higher up the path of yoga, reach you closer to that mountain, that tip of enlightenment? What can you do in this moment? Not in 1 hour's time, not tonight or later on. It's right now. And once you start to value that energy, once you start to value how you can expend that energy in the best way possible, that's when you'll see results. That's when you'll see synchronicities in your life. That's when you'll feel a reward. I hope you have the most magical day. And I hope that you take this moment right here, right now, after watching this video. I hope that you can take this moment and move your body in the direction forward. Not think about how you might move, just move. Don't intellectualize too much. Don't plan. We've done enough planning. The time for yoga is right now. Thank you. See you in the next video.